for the special meeting. I guess we can call this the December meeting of the MUD 36 Board of Directors. Received comments from the public. Kim's not public. So, and consider an act on the draft of the water reclamation facility decision matrix. And Eric will let you give us an update.
Yes, so as you recall, I had asked for all comments to be given to me, at the end of November. That happened. I presented those to Corolla, and they have essentially gone through all the comments and come up with a revised criteria based on the comments that they received. So what you see before you is
Talking about this.
that, and they actually created this, which I think is going to be very helpful for you as we go into evaluating the comparison. This was not provided prior and was asked by many, including myself, to give us some clarification. So this will be presented to the trustees tonight, but obviously since we moved your meeting up before then, they're going to hear it tonight, but you're hearing it first. But what they did was, so if you recall, the criteria that you saw before there were 7 of them.
Yeah.
And there was some question about, well, these two are kind of similar and these maybe could be lumped. So they reformatted it and combined some and refined them.
So which one did they combine? Which two did they combine?
Well, they modified them slightly. It was
Oh.
safety. It was safety and security. And then they kind of reformatted really the whole thing. And then also per Kent's comment, they reorganized them so that cost was number 1, even though it didn't really, that wasn't how it was affecting,
Oh.
but
Yeah, this is totally hosed.
Okay.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
council's number 7, which seems to be backwards, but
it's number 1 now. So,
Yeah.
but I think what was real important, because some folks were getting bogged down trying to read this. This was never really what you were being asked on the comparison. Granted, these are the breakdowns of each of the 7, but that kind of got people confused and bogged down into, too much information. So what we asked for was give us a definition of the parent criteria, the top line, not all the sub. Obviously, they've done both. So when filling out the comparison worksheet, if you have question about what you're comparing, whether it's life cycle cost or operations, maintenance, et cetera, you kind of have a quick definition sheet to help guide you on what that really means. So they went from 7 to 6. There's 6 criteria. They're defined here on that separate sheet that they gave us. And I guess we can go from there. There's been a district that's already done it, and they a couple of them had already done it themselves, and they kind of came together and talked through each one and chose as a group which one you all felt were most important to you. So I don't know how you want to do it, Kent, but
okay, this is the
new one. Correct, sir.
And then this is the definitions, this page of what we are supposed to, I guess. There she is.
So probably in essence, slightly refined it to make it a little simpler than it was. Not as many criteria and more defined now. How are you?
Good. I got an important phone call just as I was walking out. So I apologize.
Well, you haven't missed anything.
Other
than that, all.
Hello, everyone.
Is there another set of sheets for Sharon?
Right here.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I will just start out by saying
Forget about that.
I was going to say, I reviewed this and I thought, oh, I need my colleagues to advise me on this stuff. So I went through all of them. I couldn't even answer any one.
You obviously weren't the only one because as Eric just pointed out, they've revised their whole presentation.
Okay.
So there's not 7 anymore, so you can scrap this. They're all very similar, but they were refined and redefined
Okay.
for further.
And then, of course, I noticed on here, we're not even in year 2, but 36 has no money to contribute. So I'm anxious to hear what y'all have to say.
No, that doesn't have anything with this.
Yeah. I gotta try to be out of here by 11, by the way, so
Okay.
if we can knock this
I
out.
think we can.
Okay.
Pretty simple. So what we've done or what another district's done is just kind of go right down the list. And
All right, so, yeah, let's do that. Like.
do you value life cycle costs greater than O&M
Maintenance consideration.
So you want me to keep the scoreboard here?
I can do it here. One of the things that I'm going to tell the trustees tonight, and I'll tell the boards as well, is, and there's a couple districts that aren't meeting in December anyway. Corello had asked, and I had presented to y'all last month that this would be due in January or by the end of January. So I'll hold on to all of them until the end of January, and then that's when Corello needs it. So three districts will end up doing it in January. I think 7 of them have meetings like this one to do it now. So
So we're not, originally, it looked like every MUD director was supposed to submit one of these. But now we're gonna have a mutual agreement.
Yeah, well, I thought that's what we would do. is we
Yeah, I
do
thought
our own choices and that's
Yeah,
what consolidation.
Yeah,
But since we're here with person, may as well. Okay, so.
I can keep yours, yes.
Okay.
Yep, and I'll confirm before we leave what we've chosen.
Okay. Got the
did
sheets.
you already go over this? Is this a
No.
recommendation?
Well,
That's the old one. There's no recommendation. It's on our own.
Okay.
Okay, so life cycle cost.
Well, the first thing, we got criteria 1, life cycle cost versus operation and maintenance considerations. And I think life cycle cost.
I'm gonna vote for life cycle cost. Any other?
That cost is no object.
No, lifestyle.
No, I think it's a good number one.
Okay, that'd be number 1. Okay, we'll all agree. And life cycle costs, use of existing infrastructure, and I think we got at least 3 of
We
them.
have
want
to
Life cycle.
existing
Down to 2,
What do you mean two? No,
operations
no,
and maintenance.
it's gonna go through all the life cycle costs first
Here.
versus these, then it'll go with.
Gotcha,
Criteria 3.
gotcha.
So all we're doing is each line comparing one versus the other. Which one do you value more? And we're gonna go down each one.
Okay.
Now, so just a number, the second one of criteria 1, life cycle costs versus criteria 3, use of existing infrastructure.
Say use of existing infrastructure. You gotta use that.
That's
Agree or disagree?
Agree. So that's number 1, is the life cycle cost is more important than use, or no, we want use.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah.
Correct? Is that?
Well,
Number 2.
Period
Well,
3, it's 3.
I think by using the existing infrastructure, you're gonna impact the life cycle cost.
You are.
So I'm still life cycle cost.
So you still life cycle cost?
Yes.
Don't you want to maximize the use of existing infrastructure?
To keep the life cycle cost down, we will use the existing
I
infrastructure.
agree, but the cri,
You got to.
But
I can go with life cycle.
Well, why don't we just say, they're equal?
1 and 3,
well,
No, but I mean, there's not really 1 and 3. It's that
1
I'll go
equals.
they need
with- I'll
to
go with that.
be equally, we need equally considered.
And I would agree with Vince's comment that, when all the options are vetted and analyzed, there may be one that utilizes existing infrastructure that I think you're
Yeah.
thinking translates to a better cost.
yeah.
So,
And if something magically came up where it was cheaper to not use existing infrastructure, which I cannot believe.
Do it. Yes, you
Then do it.
Sure you.
You make us a good point.
Yeah.
so,
Okay, so 1.
Number 1 again.
Like no,
okay.
Okay.
And life cycle cost versus safety.
safety's gotta be it.
Well, alternates using hazardous chemicals, I'm not, maybe impact on community, accidental.
You don't have a safe environment, you don't have an environment. Are we talking about number
Yeah,
3 or?
I-
Reading number 4,
Yeah.
safety on the sheet.
So I'm gonna go with 4 as well.
So I hear
I think-
two. Is
I think
that
we can be-
consensus?
I think we can be safe and still
Yeah,
you know,
we could
keep an eye on the budget.
We have to go for safety and make sure it fits the life cycle cost.
Okay, construction sequencing.
That's gonna impact the community.
I think life cycle cost is.
Yeah, I'm gonna go find number one again.
Okay,
I agree.
Okay. Community impact, what's in that?
Life cycle costs.
Life cycle costs as well for number versus number 6 of my vote.
okay.
Okay. So now we look at number 2 and compare it to the ones we haven't compared it to yet. Operations and maintenance considerations versus the use of existing infrastructure.
I'll go with number one. I will go with,
I go number 3. Or I mean,
I'll go with number 2 on this one.
yeah, no, it's a use of existing
I'm listening to
infrastructure.
all of the engineers.
I'm saying operation and maintenance, because that is gonna affect everything. And existing equipment will be taken care of in number 1 up top. My opinion.
So that implies you'd spend more money initially to lower the operations and maintenance costs, which I don't agree with.
No, what we're saying is we would prefer to have the operation and maintenance considerations take precedence over the use of existing infrastructure. So
Why?
if there's something, well, that's what he's saying. I'm kind of leaning towards the infrastructure.
Yeah, me too.
Though, and how complex do we want to make the alternatives? I'm going to go with the existing. number
Yeah. me too.
Well, I agree with
I'll agree with
Pete. So what do you think?
Voted again.
Ah,
No, that's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I didn't hear what your thoughts were.
No, I agree with that.
Okay.
The use of existing infrastructure on number 3.
Yeah, definitely safety's got to take precedence on that.
So you're writing down 2. Do you mean 4?
Well, I'm trying to circle.
No, we only have a choice of 2 and 3 for that
one,
line.
correct.
And I heard 3.
You heard 3
Okay,
correct.
next one.
Yeah, I'm with 3.
Okay.
O&M versus safety, I heard 4.
Yeah.
Is that,
Right.
Yeah.
Got it, got it.
That's a no-brainer there.
okay?
Okay, this is a good one. O&M versus construction and sequencing,
Mhm.
constructability and sequencing. That one,
It has to be coordinated. Got to keep going with the operations and maintenance.
They're almost mutually exclusive.
well,
You got to keep doing that.
you
while-
got, so it has to continue to operate
You gotta continue, and you gotta meet permits too.
and so that, okay. So what you're saying, yeah, so what we're saying is it's got to continue to operate and operate well and at,
You got.
At the expense,
construction has gotta work.
right, the construction's going to work around operations. Yes. We're on the same page.
Hey, that's a change.
Okay, so look, you want one.
So which one? was
Number,
it?
Okay.
you guys are good with number 2?
Number 2,
Operations and O&M.
Okay.
and community impact.
Versus O&M.
I am sorry, but I think the operation and maintenance is over community impact because the people made a choice to live there.
It seems to me they support one another.
And it's, could be like temporary.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
temporary.
it's,
whatever it
you know,
is. Less-
It's like when they build a new overpass that you really, really want, you just have to suffer through it for a little
It's
while.
like remodeling a room in your house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So we're gonna say number 2 on that 2 on 2 versus 6.
Okay.
Okay, now. Again, safety's gonna take precedence on this.
Existing infrastructure, safety, I assume we're going to use safety.
Okay.
I would, yeah.
Yep, agreed.
Then versus ooh, that's gonna be, that's an even tougher one.
Well, this is where we
Okay.
get into that parallel of keeping the old system running while we're building the new one. And I know there's been a lot of discussion about that.
I'm gonna say use of existing infrastructure versus, because you can stage and plan your construction around
Yeah.
the use of existing equipment.
Pete, you got my vote again.
Yeah.
Hey.
I want to hear less complaining.
I'll second that.
I heard 3.
3
Okay.
and
Existing infrastructure.
existing infrastructure, yeah.
3, okay.
3 again, yeah. Now, safety, this is a tough one. And I say, no matter what,
Yeah.
you gotta vote for safety.
You gotta keep it safe.
You try to keep it safe. Otherwise, you don't have,
And,
Otherwise you run into all sorts of problems.
and even on safety versus community impact, it's
No
got.
manager's gonna,
safety. That's exactly.
it's not gonna sacrifice.
Eric, on constructability and sequencing, I know they're going to be working in teams and that could delay a particular team from moving forward and then the next group couldn't come in. What's your thought?
Well, I think constructability and sequencing speaks to if, and again, I don't want to get into all the weeds on all the options, but there are two options sitting there that build a plant beside the current plant. So from a constructability and sequencing situation, there's no sequencing because the plant's running right beside it, right? So if you shift to the other two options, then there's going to be some gymnastics that need to occur to fix something while still running it at the same time. So that's really what that one means. So do you value that gymnastics of trying to get through that versus keeping it safe? Of course, they'll want to keep it safe regardless. But that's what that's speaking to.
Okay.
So how you feel about it one way or the other is up to you, but
Yeah.
I'm for safety.
Yeah.
I'm always gonna,
Definitely.
we're from industry. You always gotta be for safety.
All it takes is one problem. Kind of like the kid
Yeah.
getting run over by the train down there the other day. It was created. The high school kid was crawling under a train down inner Houston. And anyway, he ended up and tripped when he was trying to get to school and he went under the train while it was moving because,
It was moving?
well, it was blocking it, probably going real slow and he tripped. And anyway, he ended up and got run over by the train and it's created just now they decide, oh, no, well, now they want to build a whole walkway over the railroad tracks. And after the fact, it's always a good idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a good-
Common sense to it.
Yeah.
He won't do that again.
But anyway, anyway, that's a good example. All it takes is one.
I can't legislate against stupidity.
And then everybody starts second guessing.
All right, then we're on the last one.
Last one.
And I think number 5,
I
constructability over
think 5 is,
community.
I
Yes.
think it's constructability. It's got to go.
Okay.
This was quick.
Yes, it is.
Community impact is not going to be significant back there
No.
because it's not like we're closing roads. It's not like Lake Robbins being closed for a month.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Why is it closed?
And I keep asking people, I'm the mud director and I go, are they laying pipe over there in down center? I mean, what?
yeah,
Eric knows.
we finally, well, I learned yesterday because they're gonna run into one of the water lines.
Oh,
With work that they didn't tell us about. So those kind of cobblestone crossings
yeah.
Yes.
that get you from
The pavers.
HEB to, from the
Yeah,
pavilion.
yeah.
They're 8 feet wide. And so what they're doing, and I haven't seen the drawings, but what's been described to me is they are expanding that to much, much wider,
Huh.
to like 30 feet or something like that. And in doing that, they had to put in some inlets for drainage and some other things.
Okay.
And so why, I don't know. I can imagine that during concerts, there must be,
Yeah,
Pretty
and
significant.
it's difficult to see somebody at the crosswalks when there's narrow crosswalks because there's woods. So instead of tearing, so they took down more of the trees so they could put more cobblestone. Okay.
correct.
And that was something passed by the township or the
Sure.
tourist bureau or what?
My,
Pavilion?
I don't have confirmed 100% confirmation, but we've been told that it's a township project. Here's that Howard Hughes is significant payer of it, but I don't know those details. That's what I've heard.
Apparently,
Well,
that's roughly what I've heard is that they're trying to improve the ingress, egress, where the gates are up there in the front.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to make more space further down because you try to get 16,000 people through those gates.
Yeah.
So apparently they're trying to
yeah.
make it more.
It's become very inconvenient for me. That's the way I go to HEB.
I turned down there the other day.
I
and
did
went,
too.
oh, no. And then I stopped a guy and I said, what's going on down there? And he goes, I don't know. I'm just here fixing this camera. Okay.
That and the traffic in the evening.
Yeah, oh, that definitely is got an impact.
It's
I'm
not
sure.
fun. It's not fun. Do you want me to just go
Yes,
right
please.
back through?
Yeah, let's run back.
Okay, I'm just gonna go straight down.
Okay.
Tell me if I'm, one,
One's life cycle cost.
yeah, 1, 1, 4, 1, 1, 3, 4, 2, 2, 4, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds like I'm at the optometrist. Three.
Can't see.
Well, none of them are good, Doc.
Yeah.
Give me number 8.
I said,
This is
I
fun.
told him, I said, the signs are not black and white, they're green and white, and I can't read the green and white signs. Black and white I can read.
So I'll hold on to these until the end of January and I'll give them all to Carlo at that point.
So we've got
Thank you.
3 months left that
They'll do it in January. I think the rest, one's already done it. I'm gonna need to work with them to translate their choices into the new 6 from 7.
Right.
So I'll need to work with them on that, which will be fine. You're done. And then 5 others will go next week and then 3 will be in January.
So this whole matrix presentation is, that you all missed, but they gave it to the trustees that, so that's gonna be completely revamped.
There's you'll hear a new the trustees will hear a new presentation tonight on the revised version that you.
But they're not gonna have the results yet, but they're gonna tell us how they input this data into this, decision-making AI program.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that's what they presented last month, but they'll do that and mainly kind of go over the comments from the directors and how that guided the changes that you just saw, going from 7 to 1 and the definitions. and-
Today is who, the trustees
Corolla.
or- Okay.
Y'all hadn't seen this, but this was
Your
this
packet.
was the,
So that's the
this
presentation.
is the presentation that we got. And the topper is,
God bless you.
my opinion is if I would have been running it, I would have sent them home. They had this on the screen up here and
Nobody read that.
nobody could read that.
Yeah.
So all we got was an apology. I'm sorry you can't read my presentation, but
Well, we did hand them out to y'all.
no, but the point was is that, so this is what fortunately you missed.
I
Okay.
fast forwarded through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add also that on our, in our email, back on April the 30th, John Geiger sent out a document, I want you to check your email, about talking points in the community, trying to encapsulate different things with a succinct answer without getting too complicated in the weeds. So y'all might take a look at that again. I read it occasionally, just,
You sent it to me? Because I probably.
you don't, you think you dumped it?
I dumped everything.
Okay, all right. Okay. So check your emails, April the 30th from John Geiger.
We weren't even on the board at that point.
No.
Oh, you weren't?
No.
Okay. Well,
We were
I'll
still
get
in-
him to send that to all of you guys
Yeah.
because they're talking points for us in the community.
Mm.
Simple, encapsulated. Eric, you might
I don't know
need,
what you're talking
you might need to look at that again because make sure the numbers are still correct.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Okay.
Or maybe.
Maybe you should send it there.
Send it
I
there.
will.
I know that, from whatever if it was related to this or AC, those projects.
Yes, it
I mean,
was.
All of that has changed so much that it's all going through analysis, so it really wouldn't be pertinent, I don't think. anymore.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right.
So, once,
I will
once,
send it to you
Sure.
and see if maybe John could update it as we go into 2025.
Mhm.
Because it's great to have that encapsulated when you're trying to address one or two. Well, what about, why is my water rate so high or whatever? And he had a couple of talking points.
well, and we did have our first, community work group meeting,
Yeah.
last
I
week.
wanted to avoid muting it, but I guess I will now.
And it
Then I
went
gotta
well.
mute my wife.
So it was a good
Yeah,
start.
I thought it was a good start.
So I think,
Lot of interaction.
yes.
Let me ask, yeah, Sharon, that, was there this community group meeting?
Yeah, that's what he was just saying.
That was the second?
Uh-huh,
You're our representative?
Yes,
Can you give us a
yeah.
rundown on
got
what
that
happened?
Very
Is
well.
that something that has to be on the agenda
It
then?
was a very,
Kind of.
I'll just say it was interactive. I
You
can
can receive an
report.
update.
It was very interactive with the group. They had us fill out a lot of things. We looked at a charter. The charter does include, I'll just tell you about my participation and keep it short. It'll be my report. But they have an elected person from the federal level, and that's from Crenshaw's office. They have an elected person from the state level, that's from Senator Creighton's office. And then they said they wanted an elected person from the local level. But they had Karen Dempsey, who is with the township, but she's not elected.
No.
And so we are addressing that now, that they get an elected person. And I also brought up that there was no one represented from the Howard Hughes Corporation, and they are a big part of this whole project. And they said, oh, we've got a really great person from the PE department, the community, education. And, but she wasn't there. And I said, y'all know Arthur Bredehoff. He and I were standing there talking with John at the same time, John Geiger. And I said, well, frankly, I think they need to have 2 representatives. And he said, and as many alternates as they can get, because they need to be represented at this meeting, because they had nobody there. So that was my commission.
One thing I didn't do this year, this time,
It was basically an introduction to get the,
Advisory meeting or something?
yeah, but it was an introduction to get the group to get to know each other, to understand what their role
And
is
what
and
our
role
assignment
is not.
was.
And so we didn't get into the minutia of projects and things like that, other than to say, we're gonna need to. And we're gonna need to educate that group as well on how MUD projects are funded and, what projects we're talking about in the future, but that's, we're not ready yet for that, so we'll get there.
Well, it is,
one thing, and that is every year this time, you weren't here last year, I don't think, but we give our, whatever we make here, and I multiply it and give it to a charity in the Woodlands, okay? This year is called Sleep in Heavenly Peace, okay? Y'all heard of Gals That Give? I know you.
Oh, this one makes mattresses and.
They make
Yeah.
mattresses. There are over 2,500 kids in Montgomery County that go to sleep every night with no bed. And they provide beds for these kids. So it's a good charity if anybody feels like.
Yeah, I'm involved in that charity.
Are you?
Yeah, I've gone on the builds and the deliveries.
Yeah.
And it is a very,
Nice to hear.
very worthwhile to see kids that have basically never had a bed, ever.
Well, that's the
Building
one that
big.
Gals That Give.
How do they sleep?
They're donating
On
to
the floor.
Yeah.
This is all in the county, but it exists, and going into those places is eye-opening.
Sad to see.
It's eye-opening.
And most people don't realize there are over 3,000 501c3s in Montgomery County. Can you imagine that? Everybody
I
in
like
Montgomery
this.
must have.
Being a
On the
furniture
board of one.
person,
Good for
being a
you.
furniture
Yep.
person.
But Gals That Give, Ann's part of that one, and they're giving their money this cycle to your charity. So thank you for doing that.
any other business? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Yeah.
10:29.
Gotcha.